Hello friends, today I want to go over the list of documents required to obtain a residence permit in Montenegro based on opening a company. At first glance, the list of documents seems simple, but there are some comments and clarifications I want to make. But as for the list itself, so you don't have to write it down, you can find it on our website, the link to the website is in the description. So, the future owner, that is the founder and director of the company, will need the following documents. A foreign passport, which is self-explanatory, so we won't discuss it, a certificate of no criminal record, and a document confirming education. The last two documents require some clarification. The document confirming education, either high school certificate or a diploma will be suitable. A diploma from any vocational school, technical college, or higher education diploma doesn't matter. Any document will do. The only important thing to remember is that certifying a secondary education document is cheaper than certifying a higher education one. Not by much, but it is cheaper. The fee at the Ministry of Education for secondary education is 50 euros, while for higher education the fee is 100 euros. Accordingly, if you bring a certificate or diploma of secondary education, you will be able to obtain a residence permit a little cheaper. Second, in addition to this document, you can also provide, this is not mandatory, it's optional, but additionally Ukrainians can submit an apostille on the education document, while Russians and everyone else can provide a certificate from the educational institution. This certificate, in free form, should state that so-and-so studied with us and received this diploma or certificate with such and such number, stamp, signature of the school principal. That's all. Why is this necessary? The thing is, Russia, Ukraine, and a whole bunch of other post-Soviet countries practically do not respond to requests from the Ministry of Education of Montenegro. For obtaining a residence permit, it's not important. To obtain a residence permit, we just need confirmation that we have submitted the documents for certification to the local ministry, that is the Montenegrin one. We will get this even if you do not provide these additional documents. But if you want not only to obtain a residence permit, but also to get a nostrification decision, well, you never know. Maybe you'll need it for something someday, then you need either a response from your home country, and as I already mentioned, they practically never reply to such requests, or you need to provide these additional documents. Once again, I want to emphasize that these are optional, they are not mandatory, but since it's generally not particularly difficult to get them, I think it's worth doing. Once again, Ukrainians, put an apostille on your educational document, and for Russians and everyone else, get a certificate from your educational institution stating that so-and-so studied with us, graduated, and received a diploma. With these documents, the Ministry of Education will not send a request to your home country, but will issue a decision on nostrification immediately. That's it. That's why they are needed. Now, regarding the certificate of no criminal record, well, first of all, let me say right away that it is valid for 6 months. Accordingly, plan it so that you get the certificate not too long before your departure to Montenegro, so that you can submit it for your residence permit within 6 months. That's it, the certificate. In some countries, for example in Russia, there are different types of certificates. There are original certificates with a stamp and there are electronic certificates. Well, there's not much to say about the ones with a stamp. Just take them and bring them, they will definitely be accepted. As for electronic certificates, they are not accepted in all municipalities. That is, you can't get a residence permit with such a certificate in every city. Specifically, in Herceg-Novi, electronic certificates are accepted. Herceg-Novi is the city where I live, in case anyone doesn't know. For example, in Podgorica and Bar, electronic certificates are not accepted, only originals. So, once again, depending on which city you plan to apply for a residence permit in, you need to take this into account. If it's Herceg-Novi, an electronic certificate is fine. If it's another city, then get a proper certificate with a real stamp. Alright, let's move on. For the spouse, that is, for the person who will be the director of the company, and for the person married to them, whether husband or wife. In addition to the foreign passport, you will need a birth certificate, a marriage certificate, and a certificate of no criminal record. As for the certificate of no criminal record, we've already discussed everything, there's nothing more to add. As for the birth certificate and marriage certificate, I think everything is clear here as well. Just bring these documents with you. Here we will translate them, make copies, and submit them to the appropriate office. Now, regarding children, For children, you need a foreign passport and a separate one. In some countries, a child can be included in the parent's passport. That doesn't work here. The child must have a separate passport, and in addition to the foreign passport, a birth certificate. That's it. Pay attention to the following. If the child is traveling without the other parent, you will also need to have the other parent's consent for the child's residence permit notarized in advance in your home country. This document must be in the original, so make sure to take care of this before leaving for Montenegro. And also, if the child is already 16 years old, a certificate of no criminal record will be required. If the child is not yet 16, then a certificate of no criminal record is not required. And finally, if the child is already attending school, meaning they will continue their studies here, you need to bring their personal school file from your home country. So what else? Yes, sometimes there is a situation, what I just described is a standard family, husband, wife, children. What documents do they need? Sometimes the situation is a bit broader. Sometimes friends or relatives come, like a mother, father, or adult children, and the family members don't want to open a separate company for them, which in my opinion, by the way, is a foolish decision. It's better to open a separate company. I've explained why in many videos. If you still don't understand, ask a question in the comments and I'll explain. That's it. But sometimes there are situations where people want to register everyone under one company to save money, open a single company and list all their friends and relatives there. In other words, basically hire them. And as employees, they also get a residence permit. What documents are needed in this case? In this case, you need the same documents as for the company director. That is, a certificate of no criminal record, an educational certificate, and a foreign passport. Right. Yes, and one last detail. I almost forgot. Good thing I made a note for myself. And now it caught my eye. When submitting documents for a residence permit, you need to open a bank account with a balance of 3,650 euros. But here I should add that we know how to obtain a residence permit without a bank account. Moreover, I'll say that for the past 2 years, I haven't opened a bank account for anyone applying for a residence permit. We're not doing anything shady here. We use only legal methods. We simply found another option, another course of action that is permitted by the municipal office, and we arrange residence permits for everyone without opening a bank account. But that's all from me, friends. If you have any questions about obtaining a residence permit in Montenegro, especially regarding the documents, write them in the comments or contact me using the details provided on our website. The link to the website is in the description of this video. Goodbye, everyone.